Hello and welcome to the Gooners podcast. Mike, I'm going to quote your favorite band, Nickelback. It's been a while.
It has been a while. It's also been a while since you've sung to open a podcast.
Hey, and I apologize for the Christmas cup. I don't mean to offend you, but it's just what's happening in the house right now.
You know how sensitive I am.
If I had a Hanukkah Bush cup, I would be drinking out of it, but I don't.
Well, speaking of Bush, we see that you're doing the podcast from the Rhodes bed this evening, which is very exciting. So you're back home. We have a Thanksgiving tradition where we try to get as far away as possible.
I was about to say, we went to the absolute opposite ends of this country.
I was in Miami, as per always, for my in-laws over Thanksgiving. Where did you, as soon as you found that out, where did you go?
I went to Seattle, which on the actual continental U.S. is the absolute furthest point I could have been from you, because I was actually up relatively close to Canada.
And it was beautiful for a little while, but now we're back connected again, and we're connected with two lovely guests. One, Danny. It's always been a while. It's always been a while. It's been a while, like Andy said.
It's been a while.
It's always wonderful to welcome back our favorite nocturnal beast. It is 3:04 in the AM where you are right now in God Manchester area. Is that not true?
Yes, it is. It's exactly that. Yeah, give it a minute. It'll be one more.
How does your daughter feel about you wearing her hat?
It is actually a lady's hat. It's a pink fluffy one. I don't care. I'm manly enough. With a beard like this, I could sit here with stockings and suspenders on and still be more man than any of you lot.
True.
Well, he's fresh out of a bath. He's the chieftain of a Burkett Wonderland. It's Danny, the GFP. Thank you for joining us again tonight. This is a big night for you.
Oh, don't you bloody start. It's been a nightmare.
You got Arsenal at the beginning of the day. You got the Miami Dolphins. Between the Dolphins and the Redskins. Quick NFL talk here. Worst 5-6 and 6-5 teams in the history of the NFL right now.
It was it 14 or 43 seconds to go? Field goal. Them swines. And I was so excited as well. Gutted. Yeah. And then Portland have a perfectly good offside goal ruled off. Ridiculous.
And that's the other thing. You've somehow ended up a Portland Timbers supporter. So that's just ended in an exciting 0-0. So welcome back, Danny. We also have a returning first time on video, Sebi.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Seb, now, Danny, you know Sebi. He's got more pictures of you in the bath in his personal collection than anyone else in the world. I thought it would be nice to bring you guys together tonight. Interestingly, he's the only guest of French ancestry that we've ever had on the podcast, and therefore he's our favorite.
Thank you.
As soon as we have Philippe Auclair on, stop rescheduling. That'll be gone. But unless you include Chris Carpenter with a beret on, and I just assume when we had Chris on, because we were doing it in audio only at that point, I assume that he had a beret. He had one of those cigarette fucking clip things that you hold the thing in. He had a monocle or a lorgnette, which I think is one of those glasses things that you hold. I mean, that's how I pictured it anyway. But other than that, he's French. He's Sebi. He's good with Photoshop, and he loves Danny naked. Welcome back to the podcast.
Did Sebi do the turkey with my face on it?
Yeah, that's me.
That was fucking genius. My dad was like, "You need to send me that."
He did the one with me and Mike in the bath, which actually happened, but there was no one there.
Yeah, if you and I are in the bath and there's no one there to see it, did it actually happen? Did it make a noise?
Not unless it's soap involved.
Good question.
And it could both fit in my bath. It's that big.
So, Sebi, which of those accessories that I've just mentioned, the monocle, all that, do you actually own?
All of them, except the monocle.
I mean, I'm
striped shirts every day. As you can see, I have my ridiculous French mustache. Yeah, we're growing mustaches on for my podcast for November this season for the month of November. So
excellent. That is for a good cause. I mean, there's no better reason to look completely
like an idiot. Yeah.
And that podcast, by the way, we have 4 podcasters on tonight. You were a part-time contributor, now full-time co-host, I guess, of Dinner and a Podcast. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Is that right? I know that's right, but I have to act like that's like that smooth thing. Hey, I hear you're in another podcast.
That is true. Dinner and a Podcast. You can hear us every Monday. A new episode drops. It's a podcast on pop culture, music, comics, movies, sports, everything that's going on in the world. With three of my best friends, Joe, Mike, and Steve.
It is funny, and I've said this on Twitter a lot. I don't listen to a tremendous amount of podcasts, other than ours, of course. I listen to that 8 times a week, but and normally they're all about Arsenal. But this is the one exception to that. It's just I'm not even into 2/3 of the stuff that they talk about. I'm not a sci-fi guy, but it's just funny. These guys know each other. They obviously have history and chemistry, so it's funny, and you add to it. So welcome back. We have one game this week. It's actually been a long time since we played, so we got a lot of time. Deep. I'm going to force you to do that about 100 times tonight. We have the ability to deep dive into this game. So first, the team sheet comes out, and what we learned from the team sheet is, first of all, Lacazette was actually hurt. We talked during the interlude that he's apparently not just had his feelings hurt by the FFF, but it was also his penis. Tight groin is the name of the injury.
Loins. He has a tight loin.
Have you ever had a tight groin, or has it just always been the normal amount of loose and sloppiness, Andy?
Yeah. That was good, Mike. Not you know what? It took how many podcasts, but you finally got me to laugh.
Oh, it's only been 100,000 episodes.
No, I mean, there was a lot of debate whether or not he was hurt or he was playing the hurt butt whole game. And I think I had said on the last pod, you don't usually miss out for your country, especially for France, if you aren't truly hurt. And it sucks because we missed him greatly today. But those groin injuries can be a pain in the ass because you can wake up and feel great, and then you do a little bit of a jog and it flares up. So let's hope he's on the mend quick.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to be without him too much. But Ozil on the bench. Danny, I'm going to ask you about this. Is he tired from all that traveling with the German national team? Or is it just was it his recent form, his fitness? I mean, is it just all-out racism? I mean, what was going on with him being on the bench today?
Well, I was talking to Dom, our fitness and rehabilitation expert on our podcast, and he said it was actually strained abdominal muscles from all the laughing at the German national team getting relegated for the first time ever. So that's officially what it was. Yeah, best place for him on the bench. Oh, actually, the best place for him would be at any club other than Arsenal. So apart from that,
God, started hot already.
Let's throw it to you. I did hear after the game that Emery mentioned that the game was going to be expected it to be a tight, physical, active type. And that was the reason he didn't have Ozil play. He neither started nor came in as a substitute. So are you buying this abdominal shit, or are you? And I say that completely believing that it's true. Dom said it's true. It's true, but guy knows soft tissue better than.
Yeah, I think so. With Tottenham coming next week too, I think he wanted him fresh for that game as well. It was going to be a physical game today, and I kind of think that was the problem.
Andy, I mean, is it? We talk about this every week, every time that something happens with him, one way or the other. If you listen to what Emery said, it kind of implied, we're not going to risk him, healthy or otherwise, when we think the game might be a little bit hargy-bargy, and we're only going to play him in games where maybe we have the luxury of a finesse player. I mean, is that kind of where we're ending up with him?
Well, today was a pure tactical setup. I mean, as you and I talked, like the match kicked off at like 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m. my time. And, with a toddler, I got to get him all the sleep I can. So I was watching it about 30 minutes delayed, and I skipped right to like the 20th second. So I missed the lineups, and I was trying to count how many defenders we had on. I was like, what? Holding at left back. And then I saw Kolasinac in there. I'm like, what is going on? But the whole thing today was tactical setup, because Bournemouth are probably one of the hardest teams to play in the league. I mean, they are truly like that mid-table club. You've got the top 6. then you've maybe got Everton, Bournemouth, and everyone else is relegation zone for me. So they're just that team that Eddie Howe sets and prepares them phenomenally every week. So I don't see why him sitting on the bench for this match in particular is a big deal. I mean, there was really no place for him in this particular game. And if we wanted to play 3 at the back, someone has to be sacrificed. Now, next week when we play Tottenham and we go in and we play United, you'll see him in the lineup because they're going to bomb forward. So you give him the opportunity to pick out spaces and weaknesses and holes. So I think that it's not a diss on Ozil per se, but it is Emery saying to each and every one of his players, no one's guaranteed a spot on this team except for the keeper. We can plug and place, but for me today it was purely tactical.
Yeah, I think so too, which is why I'm actually surprised to hear, Danny, what you had said about Dom's injury assessment. But I guess he's assessing that from about what?
And it was a joke.
10 kilometers away.
Yeah, he had hands-on experience. He uses the ether to figure stuff out like that. Don't tell Dom I said that, because as Andy said, it's an absolute lie. I just think that maybe he wasn't in that formation because he wanted to go one up front, didn't want to play anyone wide, and he has done nothing since the game against Leicester, where he had his one decent game of the season. Palace, Liverpool, Wolves, he might as well not been on the pitch for all the good that he was. And I think sometimes you will see Ozil drops more often than not. He's not going to be like Wenger, where Ozil played every single game no matter what he did. And Flashley played every single game that he could be bothered. He's going to play when the manager tells him to play, whether it's away at Karabag or whether it's sitting on the bench away in the Premier League game, which he would have normally expected to start.
No, I also wonder, when you're a manager and you have the tactical nous that someone like Emery has, and you go into the week of preparation and you say to the players, okay, assuming everyone is fit on Sunday morning, this is how we line up. When you're sitting in that room and you're seeing Ozil not in that lineup, the rest of the team must be thinking there's a plan here. And I think that's why when you look at how poorly we were today, but we still walked away with 3 points, you trust the plan, right? And so I'm assuming that's what happens. They find out.
We're close to doing the thing that we always say we're not going to do, but we do every week.
But, I'm assuming they know the starting 11 a day or two beforehand so they can mentally prepare. I don't think he's the type of manager that walks in 20 minutes before and says, here's the starting 11, let's roll. Especially if you're Ozil and you're used to starting week in and week out, you're told a few days before, hey, we're not going to you from to plan B. We didn't need plan B. And as Danny said, I think it was tactically just down the middle. We're not going to go wide. It was just everything we needed to do today to get that 3 points happened.
Yeah. I mean,
he's only starting
all the time. I was joking about it, but last year Eddie Howe would have been licking his chops at the same formation that we always had. We would have come out the same way.
Look how slow. If you look how slow Mustafi and Socrates are against those two strikers for Bournemouth, had we gone with our regular lineup, we would have been shredded. You know what I mean? So it's like someone had to be sacrificed, and it was Ozil today.
Well, good, because that's what it took, among other things. But welcome to the chat room, Rob. My buddy Rob Ford is in the house.
Rob Ford. Hey, Rob. Sorry about fantasy football.
Was he your opponent this week?
Hey, dude, he's getting crushed.
Well, that's what happens when you trade Saquon Barkley for a pile of sack for Theo Walcott, basically. But anyway, welcome to Ryan Cost, Kerry McCollum, a lot of regulars in there. If there's anyone in the UK that's tuned in tonight at 3:30 in the morning, let us know, and you win a special prize of having me mention your name. Woo! Emery went with the Billy Joel choice today as far as the armband was concerned. Captain Jack will get you high tonight. And did you remember a couple of seasons ago when Jordan Henderson was captaining Liverpool, and he was standing in the tunnel, and I was pointing out how he spent like 15 minutes just primping and licking his fingers and cleaning himself like a fucking cat, and messing around with his face. Xhaka just stood there leading the team out, stone face, handsome, resplendent in all of his glory. I mean, is that leadership? I mean, did we win the game at that point?
Well, of course. Of course. Whenever Jacques is wearing the captain's armband, it's 3 points guaranteed.
So
is it like the Vieira days where we would win it in the tunnel?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, all they do is they look at the guy.
He just stands there as the other team walk past him, just staring at him.
You say look at him, Mike. You don't look directly at him. Whatever you do, don't look at him. Look at the corner of your eye at him, or he'll have you.
Yeah. When I met him in San Jose, he'd literally been with Arsenal for like 6 days, and I just felt like he wanted to headbutt me. He clearly did not speak that much English, but I just got that vibe like if I'm about to get, and I would have happily gotten headbutted, but he looked like he was ready to go.
He only headbutts people who are approaching him like this.
I was approaching him like that, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The funny thing was they threw him up on the stage for all the fan events, and dude knew zero English at the time, and he knew nothing about Arsenal. I think, and he was just like, you're like, here's our new signing. Have fun.
I felt so bad for him because before the fan event started, you could see the players. He just stood there by himself while the other guys were like in this huddle, joking and chatting, and I just felt so bad for him. Maybe that's why I just love him so much.
It goes back to that. Stebby, did you? What's this thing where you go onto the pitch and like as soon as you cross the line, you hop on your right foot for 3 or 4 times in a row? And I mean, that's the only thing that he does that bothers me. Other than
superstition.
Shut off. But it's a superstition, but what's it based off of? I mean, I need to know exactly what it does.
Maybe he scored a goal the first time he did that, so every time he goes onto the field, he does it again. I'm very superstitious as well. So, like,
I mean, when you go on a podcast, do you like have any superstitions or like
kits and stuff like that? Like this morning, I wore my gold Sega kit, and we've yet to win a game in that shirt. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to win this one in this shirt, and within 2 minutes.
Weren't we wearing that shirt when we won the league at Old Trafford?
Yes. Within 2 minutes, I took it off and I put on this one here. So
it was like
for winning the game today, guys.
You're like, I'm gonna wear the awful shirt, and then I'm gonna fucking psych them out and take it off and put on the real shirt, and it's gonna hype the boys up.
Are you really talking about superstition? I asked my lot once, had about 5 of us on, and I went through everyone's superstition. And then when they did our lucky scarf, lucky pants, always walk into the stadium with this. And I went, and how's this going for us as Arsenal fans? How are your superstitions helping? Are we unbeaten for the last 5 seasons? No, we're not. Grow the fuck up. Superstition bollocks. So there you go. Apart from 03, 04, yeah, everything was lucky that season.
I hear you've been sitting in front of that fire for the last 17 games. How's that working out?
I already had it a month. Oh, yeah, I watched them over and over again, trying to see if it'd make any difference to them. But a superstition, come on, people.
Yeah, Mike.
Witchcraft, eye of newt, leg of toad.
Leg of toad.
Well, that leg of frog's legs, I think, is a popular superstition as well for Sevi. Away supporters, an excellent voice, by the way, and I know the stadium in Bournemouth lends itself to being able to be heard a little easier than the average stadium. But mad props to the away supporters today from start to finish. They were an incredible voice. Mad props to all but one of the away supporters. Socrates, have you ever seen a guy use his hands on other men's bodies to the extent that he does? Other than me, the last time I saw Ola and Lewis in person.
It's a Greek thing.
Greek.
It is. Right? I mean, like he just kind of brings you in. I mean, is it a continental European thing, Sebi?
I couldn't tell you.
I mean, I don't remember you using your hands on me that much. I mean, like 5 minutes into the game, he's like literally picking up the opposing player and taking the ball away from him and then putting him down on the ground again. I love it.
He goes back to his Greco-Roman wrestling days. That's what he's doing. He's merging sports.
They said that actually on the American broadcast. They said, the guy's clearly done some Greek wrestling. He didn't say anything about Romans, but the Greek wrestling. I'm picturing him like training for games nude in a pit. But of course, that's how I'm picturing it.
All oiled up.
So that's not a thing then. It's just Socrates. It's how you, I guess, make up for something of a lack of speed. But he, I think, had a relatively good game. But Koscielny sitting on the bench, not in the 18, but he's back. I mean, between him and Steve Bold returning to the bench, apparently, because I hadn't seen anything of him the last few months until today. Does that give the team a lift, Danny? I mean, do you think that matters to them? Are they like inspired by that, or is it like when they had the phone call with Danny Welbeck and then went out and shit the bed against Wolves? I mean, do you think it's really they're kind of past those kinds of things?
I think he, when you say he was on the bench, he wasn't a substitute, but you are allowed to have as many other people on the bench have been a certain number as you want, aren't you? Like coaches. Yeah, was he one of those people? I didn't see the whole game. I only saw the extended highlights. So he was sat with the substitutes, was he?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Showing that he's back, like a little bit like when Sandy Cazorla at the end of last season, when he came out and had a little bit of a run around, is someone all the fans love, the players love, even the media and opposition fans like him. So having someone come out and sit on the bench who's been out for so long and had such bad luck with injuries is probably going to give the team some morale. They know that the number one of all the five or six captains that we've got is there, and he's watching, and maybe some of them might want to play a little bit better for him and be a little bit more conscious of what they're doing, because he has been one of our best central defenders in the last decade. He's one of probably the 2 or 3 best ones, and with 3 of them playing out there today when we were playing 3 or 5 at the back, whichever way round you want to do it. Yeah, and it's nice to see. I mean, would have been nice for me to see him if I'd have seen him there, but it's great to have him back. And they said he would be start training with the first team come the end of November. So it looks like he's on schedule, which is really good. So we might
that's going to give him a lot of confidence too, getting back with the boys and, staying motivated that he's almost full fit and ready to come back and play for his position.
And I was thinking it kind of sends a message a little bit to those 3 center backs that are in rotation right now to say someone's going to be nipping on the heels here and keep making these mistakes, Mustafi, and you're going to be gone.
Yeah, I'm nervously anticipating seeing him come back. I hope it's in relatively low pressure situations like Karabag and I mean I guess I would say Carabao Cup, but that's a derby now, so we'll see. Speaking of Mustafi, 7 minutes in, he's on the ground again in his area. If I had a dime for every time he makes a good decision about going to ground, I would have 0 dimes.
I was thinking that there's only one center back that has won a World Cup that could be as reckless as Mustafi, and it's got to be Ramos. But then I was thinking the difference is Ramos, his negatives are his positives heavily outweigh his negative. So for every red card he gets, he'll follow that up with 3 game-winning goals, in different various
the 90th minute.
The massive magnitude. And I'm just thinking, like, Mustafi doesn't really bring much to the game apart from always being on the edge of your seat where you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Because even at the end of the match, I'm sure we'll get to it, but I'm like sitting here like, what are you doing?
He does know how to head in a corner every once in a while, and has done it in big games as well. But yeah, I mean, you do feel like the comparison with Ramos or say Pepe, for instance, who is a hothead and an absolute jackass, but I wouldn't have wanted to go up against him in his prime years before he started growing that hair back or get the weave or whatever it was. But yeah, I mean, his horizontal corpse basically played Brooks onside. And, the linesman did a horrible thing to Bournemouth. I mean, that was an awful call. We get lucky again with a refereeing call, which this season seems to have gone far more in our favor than against.
Yeah, it's a hard one, Mike. I mean, in the run of play, there's a lot of players in a line, and I feel bad for Bournemouth, but the referee doesn't get the pleasure of us seeing it 3 different angles. And so when they showed the line of where the ref was, he looks offside. And it's too bad. But at the end of the day, like you said, the call went in our favor, and it won't next time. It ebbs and flows.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not here to say that it was an easy call for the linesman to make. I'm just here to say it was the wrong call in hindsight.
But yeah, why is he laying on the ground?
Yeah, I mean, he was like lying there like a well, I mean, it's just not good with Mustafi, the situation. I'll go into him a little bit more, but Sebi, I mean, I don't even know what to say about Mustafi anymore. I'm losing my ability to.
Here, I'll go there. We were having a discussion, judges and I, about where does Unai this season or in January, excuse me, go in the transfer market and window, and I'm wondering, is his first thought a center back? So Sebi, like, what do you think there? Because Mustafi, I cringe at thinking of what he is going to be doing against a United or Tottenham. I cringe at it, and I love Mustafi. I think he's great. I just don't know if he's good enough for our team.
He seems really fun, like off the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would love a winger to come in, but I think we really need to focus up and get another center back in January, because he is more of a liability than anything else. You know what I mean? Like the last second of the game, all we had to do is just clear the ball, and he just makes another silly tackle and almost cost us at the end again.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't awful for like the middle 80 minutes of the game. Not awful, but
he has spurts where he.
But
just
that's the thing. He's not an awful
silly
player. Yeah, but there's just a moment where you're like, here we go, and you can't have that when you're in these tight games.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and I was going to get to this a little later, but I'll mention it now, Danny. There are a few players that this season I said, look, we're gonna see whether they can get better and return and regain their form from better coaching. I said Bellerin's going to be one. Iwobi's going to be one. Mustafi's going to be one, and I backed him to be one of those guys who we saw a massive improvement on. I mean, the guy's a World Cup winning center back. He's $35 million player. Whether he was worth that or not is a debate. But I'm like, the guy's got to be better once he gets instructions. But I mean, the things he's getting wrong are the things that coaching is supposed to get rid of: decision making, how you approach a tackle. So I mean, Danny, I said give the players 10 games. It's been maybe 15 now. Are we just saying Mustafi the best that he is?
Well, we're always moaning about Man City doing their stat padding using Opta, doing no end of passes left and right, because they know how to make the Opta stats look good. According to WhoScored.com, they use Opta stats. Our best defender this season is 7.25 Mustafi. Our next best one is Rob Holding with 6.84, Socrates with 6.46. Mustafi's done the most number of clearances at 6.5. He's done the most number of second most number of blocks at 0.7. So he's doing everything right, and he's even nearly got man of the match in one of the games recently. So I think it's more to do with the situation they are with the back or the defence, or I was going to say back four, but the defence constantly being in flux. How many times out of the 19 games they've played this season have they had the same back four, back five, back six, however many we're going to play? You've got to get a bit of continuity with your players so they can build relationships with each other. Socrates has just been dropped in there. Holding is new to the first team. Monreal, who he'll have built a relationship, is been out for most of the season. The man who he spent all of the last couple of seasons playing with, Koscielny, has been out all season. He's got a new bloke in front of him, he's got a new goalkeeper behind him. So he's the only person in there that has regularly played for the club, apart from Bellerin. But Bellerin's too busy up there thinking he's Pele playing right wing. So it's just going to take a time, and I think he is taking a brunt of the abuse when the Opta stats say he is by far our best player, our best defender.
So there you have it, boys. As I said recently, I mean, he's the best we got. So
yeah,
give him more time.
Although I prefer Bob Holding by quite some way, and I love what Socrates does with his dark arts, it seems that stats wise, Mustafi is doing it. Maybe people just don't like him because he's got ginger in him.
That's it, actually.
I think it's time to admit that is actually it.
That's not true for me. My wife's a ginger, so.
Oh, don't I love ginger women? Oh.
Ginger women, wonderful. Ginger footballers,
hard pass.
All right. So we'll agree to I guess give some more time to Mustafi, but I'm just letting you know that I've been one of the more patient people with Mustafi this season, and I'm starting to.
We've done a whip round. We're gonna call Arsenal, and the Gooners podcast are letting Unai know. Give him some more time.
I'll send out a tweet. Arsenal will retweet it, of course.
Yeah.
We're in with them on that. 30th minute of the game, Lerma. What a strike! I mean, I know he's on the other team, but you have to recognize absolute class when you see it. I mean, that was Lee Dixon-esque. Probably the two greatest own goal strikes of all time. And
Mike, there are just so the goal went in, and I just went, Jesus. And my mom turned, and and she just looked at me and went, keeper should have gotten it. And I laughed because I was just like, there is no way a keeper saves that. I mean, it was fucking class. And credit where credit's due. That was just beautiful.
Yeah, no, I mean,
absolutely beautiful.
You don't expect it coming at you at that speed, much less with that kind of deflection. But it was, I mean, that is better than Lee Dixon's strike, Danny. I mean, you remember the own goal I'm talking about, don't you?
Yeah, there's like the back pass to Seaman.
Yeah, but it was like a slicing, like upper corner type of. I'm not going to say upper 90.
No, this was brilliant. I reckon if you'd have got that, and if you'd have said any football fan and showed them that and gone, right, you're only going to see this once, have a look at it. What do you think of that? They go, goal of the season. And you go, right, watch it again slowly. That's an own goal. They go, oh wow, that's amazing. That is one of the most perfect goals. He should have stood up and took a bow after he did that. That was magnificent. Poor bloke.
Is that not the second worst own goal scored by a Colombian of all time?
I was going to ask.
Poor old Escobar.
Like, now that Mo Salah's won the whatever the award is called, yeah. So that bullshit won. So this goal, which was miles better, does he get credit for being with Bournemouth on that, or is he listed as an Arsenal player?
They have to put that up as a contender for goal of the season. I bet you it would win. I mean, goal of the month, not the season. That's too cruel.
Opposite of Puskás, because like there needs to be an own goal award that's like. I mean, obviously there's some candidates, Ashkas and Dixkas, but it was amazing, and as long as he's not planning on going back to Colombia anytime soon, I think he should be okay.
That's just I mean, that thing was fucking traveling.
It was a laser.
He was trying to clear it, and it did come in at some kind of rate. Even the goalkeeper thought, I better make a dive for this, and the goalkeeper dived to the goalkeeper's left as the ball went to the goalkeeper's right, and the goalkeeper must have thought, I didn't even think it was coming this way, but I still made a dive for it. It shows how much class. Who is it? The bloke who used to be at Chelsea in goal, wasn't it? Begovic, yeah, because they got Barak on the
it was a shit cutback from Kolasinac, but it was an amazing finish.
And he gets the assist, doesn't he, apparently?
Does he? I was going to ask that later on, because if he does, he got 2 assists in this game. That's my boy. Were you at the pub or at home watching this? So you got a little one as well.
I was at home. At home today, yeah.
Did you wake up the family when that went in?
No, I was watching it with him, so he was happy. It was a great goal. Like, it was so. We got very lucky. It was so like.
We didn't deserve that lead at that point.
We didn't deserve it. We were shit the first half, and we
rode
our luck.
Which is why things always, the karma ended up the way that it did. There's a minute added time. Now I have a way of fucking things up. I don't know if you know this or not, but
I noticed.
There's a minute added time. I got to take a dump at halftime. So at 45-40, with the ball like in the Bournemouth area, I start typing a tweet so I can get up and get out fast. This is not a drill. Arsenal leads at halftime for the first time this season. And as I'm typing it, we allow like the 69th goal that we've allowed in the last couple minutes of the first half this season. Would you call this, Sebi, a for fuck's sake or a fuck my life situation? Which Twitter abbreviation would you apply to this?
I just wrote shit, cock, fuck, balls when that went in, because it was just, why didn't anybody just make the professional foul and take somebody out in the middle of the pitch? Just everybody was just laying off, letting them come through, and right at the end, it happens again.
Not the least of which Bellerin, who caught a lot of slack for kind of jogging back from his advanced position on that one. Danny, how do you see that goal unfold? I mean, it's just how much does it take to teach a team how to close out a half?
Well, I went back and looked at. Oh, were you going to say something, Sevi?
No. Go ahead.
Okay. I went back and watched this 5 times. Ball's down their area. Iwobi decides to go full ballerina, does a couple of pirouette 360s, loses the ball. Bellerin is in the middle of the box. I'm waving my hands if you listen to this on a podcast. I mean on audio only. Bellerin's in the middle of the box, and as soon as that happened, I thought, oh fuck, what's Bellerin doing there? He's not Pele. And then they quickly get the ball down our right hand side. They make a run down the pitch. Now I'm looking, who should be on that right hand side? Mkhitaryan's in the middle of the pitch wearing his lovely black boots, or no, he's got red boots on, and Bellerin is in their penalty box, and they both think, oh shit, I better run for this. So then Bellerin starts to jog slowly back towards the centre circle. Mkhitaryan goes running after him. Then the bloke comes down our right-hand side. He turns Mustafi inside axis, and another bloke making a run towards the corner flag. So he goes round Mustafi, and then only at that point does Bellerin go, oh fuck, I better get a move on here. So he slips into to top speed, and he carries on running. Mkhitaryan has stopped running, and the ball goes in there. And I'm thinking, all right, well, is Torreira still on the pitch by then? I couldn't remember. Where's Xhaka? What's he doing? And then I thought, well, what's happened? You've got 3 at the back, 3 centre defenders, which is good playing against an counter-attacking team like this. They obviously knew that's what they were capable of, but they've all had to, the little one says roll over. They've all had to shift over one position to try and make up for the fact that Bellerin's gone full Pele. So then they go, well, now we've only got 2 people there. So he slides the ball across to him, and then the rest is history. But I put it all down to Bellerin being completely out of position, waiting for Iwobi to give him the ball so he can have a shot on goal. I mean, I know that at the game, Bellerin and Kolasinac were playing as wing backs, which means they can get a lot more forward because we've got 3 at the back. But you cannot be a right wing back knowing you've got to have certain defensive responsibilities and be in the penalty area when your team's attacking. Because what if we don't get the ball? And that's what happened. So Bellerin, yet again, when he's had a really good run, but you go and watch that back a few times, it's laughable how slowly Bellerin tries to get back and Mkhitaryan does nothing.
I mean, it's game management, Andy. I mean, if you have the confidence and the experience to know that you're not going to have the ball taken off of you, then with 20 seconds left in a half in the attacking third, you probably can feel pretty good about getting forward. Or you can make sure to walk out of there with a 1-0 lead, which you haven't been able to do yet this season, and just make sure you got enough people back to handle a counterattack, because we know that the only way they're generally going to hurt us is on the counterattack.
Yeah, if you're playing as a wing back and you've got a 1-0 lead, you pretty much revert to just being a right back or a left back at that point, and you should want to shore up and see out the remaining time. I think Danny put it perfectly. It was just a clusterfuck, basically. But why the orders weren't barked from the sideline, and why as a player you're just not thinking to yourself, defense. I mean, you would do the same if it was the 90th minute or the 89th minute. So why not do that? It's just another thing we need to work on as a team and as a unit.
You'd like to think at this point that it's happened enough that we would work on. I mean, I don't think Unai's done much of anything wrong this season.
No.
But if Dude doesn't start having daily seminars about how to close off a half of football, if he doesn't just have the clock, if there's a clock at Colney on the training pitch, just constantly run from 44 to 46 minutes all practice long, I mean, then I think that might be his first oversight. But again, we're getting away with it, but I think that's one obvious teaching point that needs to be worked on. Halftime comes. I don't think that we're deserving of being level. That's where we are right now. We're getting through halves. We're against teams that we're supposed to be better than, rather than dominating them. But again, winning and drawing while learning is kind of better than the alternative. So 20 minutes of the same in the second half. It starts kind of, not with either team really too openly dominant. And then Fredo from New Orleans does us a huge favor and says in the WhatsApp chat, he goes, "Is it just me, or Abba doesn't impress when he's up top by himself?"
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know Abba didn't do anything like revolutionary or world-class in that goal, but it is his 10th goal in 13 appearances. It's his 8th Premier League goal, league lead so far. But, I mean, our WhatsApp chat, Andy, it just has a way of literally forcing players to score 5 minutes after we slag them off.
Absolutely.
It's happened 97 times this season.
I mean, honestly, it really does happen quite a bit. But, you know,
flag off every player all the time, and then one of them scores, and it's.
I think that the player who's had to suffer the most from Unai coming into this setup has been Aubameyang, because I don't think, you know, if we hadn't signed him, I don't think he would have been on the radar for Unai Emery to say, let's bring him in. And we've just been kind of plugging and placing him in different places, and he's playing well. But he's not that type of striker with Lacazette where he's going to make those big runs, those movements into channels, challenge the defenders when he doesn't have the ball, drop back and pick up the ball and create a movement. He's not that type of player. But he loves to shoot that fucking ball, and he did it a lot today, and he missed a lot. But you know, he didn't do anything special, but he got into the right place at the right time, and that's what you expect from him. You know,
that goal doesn't happen if Xhaka doesn't have that amazing 5-yard pass to Iwobi though to begin the goal. So I mean, the goal basically. Forget about Iwobi's incredible through ball to Kolasinac and
Mike. If we were to, in statistics speak, kind of follow the hockey trend of who passed to who to create the goal, Xhaka would probably have 200 assists already this season. So,
yeah, even though it was like he'd get the tertiary assist on that one, but
the tertiary assist.
Yes, that's what it's called. Did Adam Thielen just score? Yes, he did. Thank you very much. So. I mean, there was a nice through ball again. Iwobi either getting onto the end of through balls or doing them or doing them himself. You know, he did a through ball. How American did that sound?
The only person who gets on the end of balls better than you is Aubameyang.
Did you write that?
The brain just thought of it.
Oh wow, you're the spontaneous one. So. Is that Kolasinac's second assist? I mean, he did well too. I don't know that he was that strong throughout the game. I mean, the first assist he got, we've talked about, but he certainly did finish that run and put it exactly where it needed to be to find Aubameyang. How comfortable are you with him being that left wing back if we're playing 3 at the back, Seb?
I thought he played pretty well the second half. To be honest with you, he bossed a little bit on it.
We didn't invite you on here to lie.
Sorry. Yeah, I thought he did really well in the second half. I mean, he did have the first assist and like by accident, but the second one he did well to get into position, and he crossed it nicely to Aubameyang.
It was.
And I thought he defended pretty well in the second half. To be honest,
it was clear that he was inspired by Xhaka on that run. Xhaka just kind of told him, "Look, do this for me," and he did it for him. So we'll talk about Aubameyang's numbers need to be discussed, and we'll talk about it in just a little bit. But we now are up 2-1. Pereira comes off with 15 minutes left for Guendouzi, and the internet breaks. But I mean, I know Lucas can't play 95 minutes a game once or twice a week, every single week, or and apparently, if you listen to Unai Emery, he said, look, when the player says he's tired, you got to respect that. So,
did he play for both Uruguay games?
I think so, but
yeah.
But I think they were in Europe though. They weren't.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate what he did to Neymar? I mean, at the Emirates, if there's one guy, I mean, if you're Neymar, you're just thinking, "The fuck's your problem, bro?" I absolutely love it. I absolutely love how he just gives two shits who you are, and he will fucking kick your ass. Because he did it in the World Cup to Ronaldo. He's done it to Neymar. Wait till we play Barcelona at some point. He's going to fuck Messi up.
Messi's going down.
Play Spurs in fucking a week.
And excuse me, Sebi, but he's going to go over to that turtle-looking motherfucking overrated Mbappe, and he's going to fuck him up too.
Sorry, Sebi.
I think
he find him in the hospital.
He took Giroud out last week too.
Oh yeah, he just gives two shits. He just gives
two shits.
I
love him. Yeah.
Sorry, Mbappe. Yeah, I mean, Torreira, if it was him saying he needed to come off, then look, there's nothing. You're not going to say, I'm forcing you to stay on. I'm gonna burst you out. But from a tactical standpoint, and we all know about my noose, my bell ringing noose. Tactical noose is shit, but it does seem like when you're protecting a tight lead in a tight game, you don't want to open up the midfield. You want to shut them down. And we saw it pretty much within a few minutes. Just the aforementioned Jefferson Lerma just sitting in the middle of the pitch with the ball, just having about an hour to an hour and a half to wind up and crack one ultimately off the post. You kind of feel like Torreira might have shut him down a little bit more than Guendouzi did on that play. But it was kind of breath-holding time, opening up our lineup a little bit, protecting a tight lead. A few minutes later, Leno makes a strong – well, before that save, Danny, let's say that he was tired and asked to come off. Is that the only reason that makes any sense?
I don't think he's the kind of player that would ask to come off, because he seems the one that just want to go on forever and ever. But he came off on the 79th minute, something like that, wasn't it? So I don't know why they would do that. I didn't see the game live, so I didn't see any of the interactions between the manager or the that madman who comes out shouting when Emery sits down. Is it Caicedo or something like that?
Yes.
So I don't know, but it's not too bad. You've got to think that another thing I was thinking about is the amount of luck we're getting. Wolves should have beaten us. Bournemouth had a goal, a perfectly good goal disallowed. They hit the post. And with this run of 17 games unbeaten, if that had been under Wenger, we'd have lost half of those games that we drew.
We've just done it.
Oh, what?
It's the thing we say we're not going to do, and then we do it 25 times a show.
You know what though, Mike? I said the same thing today to judges. I said I don't feel
you name dropping twice in this pod.
Because
he's
and
Mike's friend, not
say
yours.
This because judges is the most fair weather fan I've ever met. I was giving it today. No, because I like people were bitching and moaning about how we played like shit, and I kept saying, "But we won." But
doesn't matter, does it?
It's because we won, And I get that being negative doesn't get you clicks, but we won, and it's like we're still trying to grow and we're still trying to mold as a team, and half of these wins that we've received this year we would have lost last season. And again, there's just the players are trusting in what's happening, and it doesn't need to be pretty. But I'll tell you what, if in May we finish second or third or fourth and we're in the Champions League, no one's going to fucking remember how we played Bournemouth away. They're just going to remember we got 3 points.
If you go to Wikipedia in 5 years' time and have a look at this season, it's not going to go Bournemouth 1, Arsenal 2, little asterisks, we played quite bad.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's like, it's going to say we finished in whatever position we did. Last season, we would have ultimately drawn that game. I mean, minimum drawn that game. And I'm not comparing the two managers, but it's a different mentality now. And I honestly, I think some of it might be fear. I think these players might have fear walking back into that locker room if they fuck up.
Good fear. Also, when you look in Wikipedia under lead judges, you'll see a little thing about the conversation that he had with Andy Rhodes today. So.
Exactly. But I tell you this, Mike, for all the games this season where we have played poorly, we follow it up like the Liverpool match. Everyone kept writing us off. We got ready for it. I think Chelsea, we didn't look at all that bad. If I'm Tottenham, and I know they're coming off that big win over Chelsea, but if I'm Tottenham and I'm looking at this Arsenal team, you're not looking at and saying, licking your lips saying, we're going to play the side that just barely scraped by Bournemouth. You're looking at the Liverpool side and you're thinking, damn, like this is a team, right? And I think we're going to be ready for them. And as Danny said, we're taking first place. Like we're winning the league.
Well, the only reason Spurs beat Chelsea is because Chelsea kept going to the wrong stadium. They'd spent all day running from stadium to stadium. They weren't sure where the game was being played.
That reminds me of a conversation I had on WhatsApp with Ray Parler and
you didn't talk to Ray Parler
and Alan Smith and Troops. All right. So
I'm just embarrassed for you now, Mike.
All right. So a few minutes later, Leno does. He makes a strong save, one of many. He's come up quite large lately. Crashed into by a Bournemouth player, so they're both on the ground. Mustafi gets jealous of this apparently and just lies down on the ground again to get some medical assistance.
Like a dog, like a puppy wanting attention.
He loves being on the ground, and I was actually not going to go to you, Danny, on this because you've made it clear you know that the game transpired before your waking hours of 4 p.m.
I know.
But I mean, Sebby, did you see this? Like that our telecast went from a collision with the goaltender to a stoppage in play to have them taken care of, and then the next thing you look at, Mustafi's lying in his own 6-yard box getting medical attention. I mean, what?
I didn't see that, to be honest with you. No, I don't remember. I don't remember that at all.
I'm just like, please, someone take care of me. And it gave him another chance to lie down on the ground. So I don't understand it. And then, like you mentioned earlier, in the last 5 seconds of the game, dude does it again. I mean, it just a completely, I think, unnecessary foul given where Bellerin was located at the time. 18.01 yards away from the goal, leading me to shit my pants, even though I had just gone at halftime. I mean, I literally just assumed that we were going to tie that game, or for you, Danny, we were going to draw it. But I mean, did anyone have confidence that we were not going to allow that? I mean, just the way that our season, it'd still be an unbeaten game. It would be kind of Arsenal-esque the way we played this season. Andy, did you think
I thought for sure it was going in.
Oh yeah, me too. The moment it happened, I thought this is going to be a draw.
You mean 40 minutes after it happened?
Oh yeah, 40 minutes after. Yeah. No,
and 25 you caught up during halftime.
And the crazy thing of it is, Mike, is something's happened because I had my phone sitting next to me, but I wasn't looking at it, and I just kept hearing buzz, 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 buzz. And it's like
my phone on.
And it was literally like nothing, and then bzz, bzz, bzz. And I remember looking down at one moment, and I think I saw Lordos his text pop up, and he said, "This man is just a freak of nature" or something, and I was thinking, what does he mean? So I just sat up the waiting for something, but no, I mean, I thought it was in. I really did.
Yeah, well, but hey, things are going a little differently, like you said. The luck of the English. Is a new term that I'm making up. It refers to how we won today and how you found me to do this podcast, Andy. So it's a 17th straight game without a loss, a game where we, all pretty much agree we didn't necessarily outplay the opponent, but we outscored them. If you'd have told me, I fucking hate that. I hate this. If you'd have told me this is where we'd be right now, I would have taken it in a second. But if you'd had told me, I would have been happy with it. At this point, Sebby, we can stop wondering if Mkhitaryan has videos of Unai Emery and just start wondering what kind of videos they are. Is that true? Is that?
Yeah, he had a poor game. He was trying his ass off. I'll give him that. But everything he was trying to do his touch was off. And yeah, he just had a poor game. I'm surprised he didn't come off for Ramsey or even putting Ozil in for him. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised.
I mean, it's just it isn't that he's awful all the time. Again, it's kind of Mustafi-esque, like in the sense that he's a serviceable player. He's certainly not the Mkhitaryan he used to be.
Yeah, he does have some games where he does have a few good things that he does, but it's not the same Mkhitaryan you were seeing at Dortmund.
No, and I mean, even in that Liverpool game, I mean, he got himself into some dangerous positions offensively, but more often than not, he was a liability in that game. And the same is true in this one. And you just got to start wondering when his place in this line, especially with Welbeck hurt and kind of that one less person in that 4 or 5 person jump, kind of collaboration that you're going to see somewhere in the front three. When his play starts becoming in jeopardy to somebody who maybe steps into that mold, a la Eddie Nketiah maybe. But Andy, I mean, is Mkhitaryan probably struggling the most of any player this season so far?
Yeah, for me, he's been the poorest, and there was a couple times and moments in today's match where he just stopped tracking. I mean, literally, like, stopped running, and you're just thinking, what is going through your mind? Like, it doesn't make sense. I don't know if he doesn't fit the system. I mean, he's a dynamite player, Mike. So something's up. But at the end of the day, like, if you're not performing on the pitch, you're not going to last at the club. And we have, and Danny might rip my head off here, but if you look at like an Ozil, who is more often than not a passenger, there's moments of brilliance, and I don't know if you get that from Mkhitaryan as much as you do Ozil, and you can't have two of them in the squad.
We did once against Everton, and that was it. That's the only time Mkhitaryan's played up to the level we thought we were getting.
Right, but honestly, I think the reason why he is an Arsenal player is because it was a sign of appeasing the Arsenal supporters by saying we're not just giving Sanchez away, we're getting another player in return. And then that whole media created, well, he's a massive Arsenal supporter kind of storyline was then followed, and so we all jumped on this bandwagon, and maybe he's not good enough for us. And I hope he finds his rhythm, but I don't see it.
It was either 35 for Sanchez. It was either Sanchez goes now and you get Mkhitaryan, or Sanchez goes in July and you get nothing.
Exactly. We're taking what we can get, right? So
could we have pocketed 25? I wouldn't have taken the deal at the time. I liked the deal that we got, but could we have pocketed like 25 million of cash just for a one-way transfer, or was it? I guess we were always going for a player.
I mean, who knows, right? And at the end of the day, it could turn out to be good for us. I mean, he is a very good player. I mean, I'm not taking that away from him. I haven't seen enough for him recently or this season to say there's just moments. There's just, I don't know, Mike. It's a weird one. You want it to work, but I don't think it's going to.
It's easy to see a guy be a good player and then come to a Mourinho coach team and lose his form.
Yeah.
It's happened repeatedly to people who have gone back and found their form as soon as they started playing for someone else. So I really, really was licking my chops, looking forward to that when we signed him. I did not see his continued lack of form and confidence really coming his way. And I'll get to a theory about that from one of our users in just a second. But the best part of that deal so far has been the fact that we basically sent a cancer to Manchester United, and he has been every bit the cancer that I had hoped he would be to them.
But also, you need to remember that 5 days before we signed Mkhitaryan, we'd let Theo Walcott go, and in the summer we'd let the Ox go. We had no one who could play out on the right-hand side. And we bought Mkhitaryan on the 22nd of January. We had a week to find another player, an experienced player, to make the push for the Europa League final and to try and get us further up in the league. Because if we wouldn't have got that, who would we be playing at right-hand side then? I mean, Mkhitaryan, BOUARS, he could possibly play on the right, but we wanted him for goals up front because Lacazette was cup-tied in Europe.
Yeah. So the theory from Rob Ford in the chat room is that his age may have caught up with him, and I don't know how old he is. I do know he's been around for a while. I mean, before Dortmund there was Shakhtar. So I don't know. Danny looks like he's looking it up, but I mean, let's say he's 28, 29. Is his age / mileage part of the reason, or do you think it's a confidence thing, Debbie?
Could be confidence. It could be a bit of both, really. How old did you say?
29.
29?
He's 30 in January.
That's not that old, to be honest with you. It could just be lack of confidence, or he just doesn't fit the system, really. Because I thought he did all right last year when he was playing under Wenger.
He probably is one of the only players that did better under Wenger than so far is doing under Unai Emery, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I just think maybe he doesn't fit the system or the coaching styles of Emery.
For someone who doesn't fit the system, he's certainly getting a lot of playing time in the last month and a half. By the way, we did in our interlude podcast, we did a offline player rating where 4 of the 5 of us that were on the podcast took it seriously, and Mr. Sleeping Bronco over there,
excuse me,
decided to give everyone 10s. So,
I was handing out 10s like I was, Mike, sometimes you're so demanding. Sebi, he goes, can you rate all the players? And I said, you know what? I'm going to go Oprah, and everyone gets a 10. You get a 10. You get a 10. He writes back, can you please take this seriously? And I'm like, I am telling you. I'm just handing out 10s.
So there's a version with and without Andy's picks. I formulated the spreadsheet to magically do it. Basically, of the 15 or 16 players I put up there, which have been playing probably more than half of our games, Mkhitaryan with Andy got a 5.0. Without Andy, got a 3.75, and that's no one else. I mean, the vast majority of players were somewhere between a 6.75 and a 7.75. So that kind of gives you the idea of where the five of us, I think it included. Who do we have? Ola, Lewis, and Chig.
Look who's name dropping now.
You were on with them. I'm not crowing about some private conversation I had with some bald guy. I have my conversations with bald guys in public.
He's the bald guy to you.
Drinking half of a pint of something while he was talking to you?
He was drinking a latte.
All right. So let's say man of the match. Is it the linesman or Lerma?
Oh, Lerma, for sure.
And if you had to pick one who plays for the Arsenal, who would it be? Besides Xhaka.
Got to be Leno, hasn't it, for the saves?
Yeah, I was going to say Leno because he made a couple big saves. Even that second offside, it was a nice little off the line. So it was just Leno.
Tabby?
Yeah, it got really hairy the last 10 minutes. I was going to say Leno too, even though Kanajnak's had 2 assists, but Leno gets it for me.
The game started getting a lot like your upper lip in the last 5 minutes. It's not a great thing when Leno is your man of the match for 2 straight games on the trot.
Why not?
Well, we've been asking for a good keeper for years. We should be happy,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Manuel Neuer has gotten probably man of the match for 80% of the Bayern Munich games for the last God knows how many years. So
who did? Emmanuel Neuer?
Neuer.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I'd agree. I think Leno probably does get your man of the match, and even the one that he let in that got called back for offsides, which was through his legs, got called back. So we don't blame that. We can't blame him for that.
But have you seen how many miserable fucking grumpy twat arseholes there are that are Arsenal fans? Oh, it's not good enough. 17 games unbeaten. We just beat a team that have only lost 1 game at home all season, that are one of the most attacking, young, vibrant teams in the league. We're 17 unbeaten. That is unbelievable. Like you were saying earlier, Mike, you were saying if someone would have asked me, give me the option to accept that. But how about you change that round? Rather than going, if someone would have given me the option at the beginning of the season. If I'd have said to you at the beginning of the season, before Christmas, we'll have gone 17 games unbeaten, what sort of odds would you have given me to that? 100 to 1? 50 to 1?
Yeah, but Daddy, how did we perform against Bournemouth?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Who did we play in those games, too? I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's like, come on, it wasn't pretty. And that's the thing with this Arsenal fan base. It's like
never fucking happy.
3 seasons ago, it was, I'd rather play I just want to win. I don't care how we look. And now we're winning. It's like, we're not doing it in the style that's Arsenal. Like, you cannot win.
And we've now won the same number of Premier League games by November that we won in the whole of last season. But no, we haven't done it. Fuck off. You miserable fucks.
Is Leno
a Peterborough fan? It's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, you and Adrian Durham. You support the same team, or were you just referencing Peterborough fan?
No, that's my local team. I support my local Barnet, Peterborough, Arsenal. Well, I only support one, but I've been to see the Posh maybe 30, 40 times. I actually nearly ran Adrian Durham over once. I was reversing out the car park in my white Audi, and I saw this bloke banging on the back of the car, saying, I'm walking here. I turned around, it looked at me, it's Adrian Durham. I'd have known that, I wouldn't have stopped.
Another ginger for you to run over.
I'd have killed him.
When? Andy was having a WhatsApp chat with John Lukic and David Seaman about Leno, and they apparently liked him, right? So
that's exactly what they asked how you were, by the way, and they said, "Could you stop sending them naked pictures of Andy's wife?"
Is that what happened in your extended conversation with David Seaman?
And that's why he was in my bedroom when he was here. He told me he was just watching me sleep. I knew it was something weird.
Dirty bastard! You don't trust a northerner. They'll always let you down. Here, lad. I want to make sure you're sleeping all right. You need a little tickle.
It's off to the most remote area of Ukraine on Thursday. Is it finally time to take a team of U23s there? We've been saying
if Ukraine still exists by then.
Is it in jeopardy?
Russia has kicked off of them tonight, haven't they?
Have they?
Gooners. Fucking it's calamity. The Russians have confiscated 3 Ukrainian boats. They're the head of the Russian army ministry people has had an emergency meeting, and they've said they're getting all their planes on standby. There's people have been tweeting about it. It's an absolute fucking nightmare. All to do with that stretch of water. Yeah, go and have a look at it. I know it's a political podcast, but there are some people tweeting saying, should we really be going there during this heightened times of shenanigans, I think is the polite way to call it.
Well, I've been in my little cocoon of safety and comfort. I hadn't heard about those latest shenanigans.
Go find a bunker.
I guess we'll look into that shortly. But let's say there is a game. All the more reason to just throw our youth out there. I mean,
fuck them.
If they, it's like
only the good die young, right?
I mean, it's like what that Russian did, what Ivan Drago said. I mean, if they die, they die.
Good God. So, as long as there aren't any players, I think most people would be happy.
So who do you send out there? El Neni, send out Jenkinson, and then
and that's it.
Jenkinson will organise the troops. Corporal Jenkinson.
Yeah, Corporal.
Seriously though, with the 2 games we have after that one, Spurs on Sunday, United on Wednesday, we're through in the group. We're not necessarily first. We need probably another win or a couple of draws to get to make sure we get first. We got that undefeated streak going, but I mean, Danny, are you going to send the same kind of lineup that we've sent to? I mean, the best example. I mean, sending guys to Lisbon isn't really that big of a deal. Sending guys to Azerbaijan is, and we sent a pretty strong lineup to Azerbaijan. Do we do the same thing on Thursday?
We have to send a completely rubbish team because we don't want anybody who has got anything to do with the first team. No, the running joke is you go and look at Wikipedia and you'll see loads of players who played for Arsenal. They played one game. It's usually the last group game in the Champions League against Olympiacos or something like that. So that's going to be the case tonight. You're going to see Eddie Nketiah playing, Jenkinson. You're going to see maybe Martinez will play in goal because this game really doesn't matter. And I said I don't ever want Arsenal to lose, but sooner or later this run has got to come to an end, and I'd rather risk it an away game, meaningless game like that, than lose it to the scum in the League Cup because we haven't got enough fit players to be fighting on all fronts. I think that's Spurs. No, we've got Spurs at the weekend, and I wouldn't want those to. I've got the League Cup and the Premier League mixed up, but I would just play a complete string of youth players, let them go out there, let them get a bit of experience, and it will make my life more fun when we do the podcast after the game on Thursday, because I'll be the only one who'll have heard of most of these youth players. Emil Smith-Rowe hat-trick. That's what I say.
I wouldn't even risk him, to be honest with you. That's a guy that I no longer consider, expendable from a living or dying perspective. Sebi, I mean, who should be the most experienced player in that squad?
Jenkinson.
Other than Jenkinson.
Yeah, Jenkinson's coming up for his testimonial year, isn't he?
Make his boyhood dream come true. Give him the captaincy, and then just youth kids out there.
I'd get him to drive the bus all the way there. Give him a hat and everything.
I think that would actually be nice. Andy, I just have a bad feeling, though. I mean, he has said this week, Premier League is our priority. So, I mean, like he isn't saying we're going to compete fully on all 4 fronts. We don't see any of them as being any different than the other. But he also has been known to not throw secondary lineups out for meaningless Europa League games. I mean, dude's been in Europa League for like the last 18 years.
But everything has been meaningless until now, right? Or excuse me, everything's been important until now. So I think if we're going to see it happen, we see it happen this week. we weren't officially, technically, like comfortably through, and now I think that we are. And I think even if we sent an under-23 squad to the Ukraine, we still walk away with 3 points. We're over the sporting banana skin, and so I think that we do start seeing more youth. And as Danny said, we don't have the squad to go out and compete on all fronts like a City, and with Tottenham coming up, I think he will send out the kids. It's too big of a match at the weekend, and it's a 6-pointer. Ding.
You do know that if anybody over the age of 20 plays in that team, that is Emery saying that's the end of your Arsenal career. We don't want you at the club.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Let's hope. I mean, I think we're all pretty much in agreement with that. And frankly, if we come out of that game and need a result in order to secure the first place finish in the group, the final game's against Karabag. It's at home, and it's in between Huddersfield home and Southampton away. So if you need to play a little bit more experienced lineup to start the game, just to kind of secure the 1 point or maybe even the win that you need to fend off Sporting and get first place, so be it. But not in this game. So let's get back to Aubameyang again. The guy gives off the vibe, and this is probably more because of some really poorly taken finishes and some missed chances, that he's struggling a bit. And that and the fact that he's been playing some games out of his normal position and has, in some of those games, looked pretty pedestrian. But he scored 10 goals in 17 appearances this season in all competitions. He's tied for the Premier League goal lead with Kun Aguero right now. Dude is scoring a goal every 104 minutes in the Premier League, which is the best ever in the Premier League as of right now.
He's shit, though.
He's reached 20 goals for Arsenal in 31 games. Putting that into perspective, Thierry Henry and Ian Wright took 40 games. Bergkamp, that prick, took 55 games to do it. I mean, I don't know how you fucking name a podcast after that loser.
We renamed the El Neni podcast.
An El Neni Wonderland.
That's it.
Only one of his 20 goals was a penalty. Fucking Ray Parler took 10 years and 300 games to get his 20th goal. And Andre Limpard, fucking apparently not an Arsenal legend.
Never heard of him.
Because he never scored 20. He never scored 20 goals for the Arsenal. By the way, the guy that said on that fan channel that
scraping the barrel.
That Limpard, they were scraping the barrel because Limpard, like, who even is that guy? I ran into that guy at the Sutton game when I was over there a couple of weeks ago. He's apparently from that area, and they're his local club. So we had a bit of a chat about that. I still don't really understand his point of view, but is Aubameyang ready for a statue? I mean, at this point, they knocked down the Henry and the Bergkamp statues, make room for a double-sized one for Abba. I mean, talk me down from this, Andy.
What?
He needs help.
Yeah, you do. Listen, you make those comparisons, and I think someone said earlier, like, look how young some of those players were when they got to those ages. Like, Aubameyang is a pretty seasoned player.
Yeah, he's 29.
Yeah, so the expectation for him is to come in and hit the ground running. When you look at, like, an Henry, he was young. He was still finding his feet. Like, I know you're joking, but the comparison with Bergkamp is, like, he wasn't the banging the goals. I think he was more like an Ozil. Like, for him, an assist was a goal, right? And that was what he strived for. So, we're very lucky that we have the Aubameyang and Lacazette, but we also paid £100 million for these two players, and they should be banging in these goals. It's nothing short of impressive because, as I said before, the guy has just been thrown into two different positions, and he's still able to find the back of the net. And the one thing I love about this player, Mike, is when we signed him from Dortmund, all those dossiers that were written by those fucking nerds who love to watch foreign football and then claim they're an expert on every player were kept saying he's a cancer, he's not going to be good for your team. I haven't seen one lick of that happen yet, Mike. And if you look back over his short tenure with Arsenal, he's been nothing but great for this club. He's embraced the guy he was supposed to be in competition with, even put his arm around him and said, get back on your horse and start scoring these goals by taking this penalty and walking away from a hat trick, which he probably had a bonus in his contract saying, score a hat trick, get shit ton of money. You know what I mean? And so he hasn't complained about what positions he's been in. And yeah, you know what? He needs 3 statues outside of every entrance of the Emirates needs to have an Aubameyang statue.
It's an Aubameyang day.
Yeah,
They could be like little idols. Yeah, I mean, like Sebi, will you design one for us? Because I mean, so you can just put them at every portal, every gate to the stadium will have a little Aubameyang statue. He's not ready for the big one.
One's gonna be a Lamborghini. The other one's gonna be one of his bedazzled Louboutin sneakers, and then the third one will just be a big model of his haircut or something. I don't know.
And if there's anyone that knows Louboutin sneakers, it's Sebi.
Yeah, it's me.
So anyway, that's a wrap on the game. We have some user questions, and we'll go through that. And if any of the dozen divided by 3 of you that are in the chat right now, we know that it's after 11. Appreciate you staying up with us. Welcome to the chat room, Desta. We're about to grab some user questions. Thanks to everybody else that's with us. Thanks to Rob Ford, who has 90% of the posts in the chat room. As always, we love you.
He wishes he had 90% of the fantasy points, though.
No, I'm breaking records tonight, baby.
All right, let's go to user questions. Let's stick with Aubameyang, Mike. Kerry McCollum, who was in the chat group earlier. I don't know if he still is.
Got bored.
How many Premier League goals do you believe Alba ends the season with? And remind us how many he has currently.
He has 8 now, right?
Premier League goals 8. 10 in all comps. It's basically the 1/3 mark of the Premier League season. And if there's one thing I can do, it's math. I mean, I am the mathematical savant. So clearly, I think he's going to score 47 Premier League goals this season. No, I mean, the record is, 32 from Salah from last year, I think, 31, 32. I don't think he's got a chance at that, but he could definitely put 25 into. I mean, and a lot of it depends on what happens with Lacazette and their formations. But I mean, I don't see any reason why he's not going to get between 25 and 30 goals, and he won't have to get us to top 4. Anyone want to come at me with a different number?
I would say, 18.
All right.
No,
he's going to get injured for half the season.
Yeah, I was going to say he's going to miss games. Lacazette's going to be that true out-and-out striker. So yeah, I'm going to say 18.
He gets £300,000 bonus if he scores and assists 25 goals a season.
Oof.
That is it.
Oof.
And he gets 50 grand for every time that he starts a game that we win.
I'm going to say 25, 26 goals for me.
Danny?
I reckon he's going to get 31. I mean, if Aguero can do it, he can do it. Yeah, and magnificent. It might need him to come off the bench a few more times, though, because he seems to be, if you're a defender and you're knackered and then you're breathing out your ass and you see him coming on, you're just going to go, oh my God, no, please. I need to come off. Yeah, so I think he's going to get more than 30.
Well, he's knocking in almost 1 a game, so I mean, whether he's
shit though.
Yeah, no, he's
lazy bastard and shit.
Mm-hmm.
He misses too many open opportunities.
That's it. Useless.
He's selfish. He's a cancer.
I don't care what he does. If he scores, he can bloody sit on his ass for 85 minutes as long as he scores a couple of goals at the end.
He needs to keep doing the spin-a-rooney in the dressing room, though. I mean, that I think is hyping the team up more than anything.
I knew you'd get Rooney into this.
He does that?
Oh, yeah. There's video out there of him doing the old Booker T spin-a-rooney in the locker room. So.
He needs to do that when he scores.
That would be, but he's too busy flipping. When is somebody going to literally shatter their ankle sticking the landing of one of those flips? I wish they would stop doing that.
I was going to say,
he was told to stop doing it at one point, or one of them was.
What are these people thinking? What are you doing with your lives?
What are you doing with your lives? All right, let's go. Question from someone who's doing a lot with his life, Tokyo Gooner. He asks, do you guys prefer Mainsley or Kolasinac?
Before you answer the question, was that were you being serious, or was that like a slam on him? Are you having a private conversation with him too?
No, I just assumed the guy has a good life. He was just in the U.S. He seems busy. That's all I meant by it.
I bet he's in a WhatsApp group with Podolski.
Oh yeah, he probably is.
Typically, by asking a lot of questions to the podcast, you're probably doing nothing with your life. So.
That's I was just thinking that, Mike. I was like, man, this guy's been listening to our pod for a long time. Maybe he doesn't have much going on in his life.
I'm sure he's got wonderful things going on. All right, sorry.
Just kidding.
Sorry
do you guys prefer Mainsley or Kalashnikov for left back? Mike, what is your answer?
In a 4, Mainsley. Although, again, ideally he'd be in his preferred position, but I mean, he's not going to play his preferred position as long as Torreira's around. In a 3, I'm willing to give Kolasinac a little bit more time and a few more shots if we're going to play a 3/5 in the back, because he's a wing back. I think Mainsley can perform wherever you put him. I would never be disappointed seeing him plugged into some spot in the lineup. I have a feeling we'll probably see him play against Vorskla, even though he's above the line, which I would rather see not travel there. But yeah, I mean, in a 4, Mainsley, in a 3, Kolasinac. Seb.
Sorry, my son came out of bed. I had to put him back into bed. I missed the question. Sorry about that, guys.
God damn it, Seb.
Sorry.
The question is, what time is your son's bedtime? No. Do you prefer Mainsley or Kolasinac for a left back position?
I think Mainsley. I mean, Kolasinac.
I just love how the name has just become normalized.
Yeah, I think I trust him more, to be honest with you. But Kolasinac, I don't know. 50-50. I guess whoever's fit, I can see it put in there.
All right. And Daniel.
Well, the fact that he's right-footed and he's made his career at Arsenal as a right-sided midfielder, I don't want him anywhere near left-back. We've had 6 left-backs this season. No, I want him on the right-hand side. I want Iwobi on the left-hand side. I want those two to show the rest of the fuckers at the club what running really is, what terrifying defenders with pace is. Mkhitaryan have the day off. Don't put him anywhere near left-back. I want someone at left-back who, when you run into him, you're going to break yourself, not you're going to break him, because he's fragile. He's a young man. He's only 21, bless him. Don't want him anywhere near left back.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a good point. Mainsley being in left back means something else is wrong. Xhaka being in left back means something else is wrong. I mean,
questions for everybody.
I'd much rather have a healthy Monreal there. But are you saying would you put Mainsley out on the right wing?
Oh, God, yes. All day long. The man's a bloody wizard. His natural position, he's much like an Iwobi. He's right-footed, can play on the wing, but for some reason, Iwobi, when he's had his chance on the right, wasn't as good because he's had so many years on the left. But you watch, that's his future at Arsenal. Right midfield, right wing, cutting in. He's going to be absolutely brilliant.
So he'll be battling Reece Nelson, I guess, for that spot next season.
Reece can play either side, I think. I mean, all of them can play wherever you want them to play, and they're gonna do what they're told. But you don't want a player who's coming through and constantly having okay games in the wrong position. He probably going, I want to play in my best position and show everyone how good I am. And so after a while, at first you're going, I'll play in goal as long as I get a game for the Arsenal. But after a while, you're going to be thinking, I really want to play where I'm best. I want to show everybody what I can do. And we saw when he was playing at left back before he got injured, didn't he? Because he's got them young bones.
I'm changing my answer. Danny, you've persuaded me. I don't want.
It's a tricky question, though. It's a little bit like saying, would you like Kolasinac or would you like Lacazette at left back? It's because, Kolasinac is a bit of a disaster. So you're obviously always going to go for the other one. So I think they're bold as a googly there.
Andy, did you get an answer in for this one?
Kieran Gibbs.
Oh.
Gibbo's having a great time with West Brom, young man. You take that back.
No, I mean it. I loved Kieran Gibbs.
So did I.
I was hoping, that he would uproot Nacho, and I think I even said it in our first season. I thought by Christmas he would really have been that staple. But I mean, the answer should be Nacho Monreal. Am I right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean.
Is it true that we sold Kieran Gibbs to West Brom mistakenly? We were trying to sell Chamberlain.
He said it's a hard question. And obviously, if I'm going to answer it, Kalashnikov is the answer. But I wish Kieran Gibbs was still with the club. So
I think it was a bit of a fire sale. You look at the number of Arsenal players. I think, Jesus, Betty. I think they knew Wenger was leaving, and they wanted to get rid of all the players that that didn't quite make it over the years, because it's unreal the number of players that left in the last 18 months of Wenger's tenure as manager. Loads of them went, whether they were good, bad, average, or whatever. I think there was a plan there, and he was one of them, which is a shame because you don't play for England at left back a few games if you're rubbish. And I always liked him, but he was converted. I think he was a left-footed striker when he was at Wimbledon. I always get him and Ashley Cole mixed up at which one of them was a striker, but yeah, he's a good player. He'll be back in the Premier League next season.
Let's hope that cat hasn't been eating beans. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, I've given him new cat food. She can almost move around with the power of Uranus. All four of them. It's like having 4 giant flies around the house. Oh,
that's called a Cambridge bubble bath.
And sticking with that theme, also from Tokyo, the question is, how can Arsenal win a first half? And I guess the answer is eat all the beans.
Building process, isn't it?
I have an idea. If we get a lead, we get an own goal, and you just start time wasting immediately, like ridiculously. I mean, like you would do at the end of the Champions League if you were up 1-0. You've got 10 players, position players on the pitch. I don't care if every one of them gets a yellow, but if you have like a throw-in on the sideline, you could do that thing where you're like looking for somebody and you get all frustrated. That's about 30, 40 seconds. And then you just drop the ball and another guy comes up and does it and does the exact same thing. You're going to get yellow cards, but I mean, that's 10 minutes that are wasted.
Didn't somebody at the weekend bring on 3 subs all at the same time to waste time?
This is the only way we're going to do it, because if we couldn't have done it today, literally, it's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. Any other bright ideas, fella?
No, you know what? We'll figure it out. We're going to figure it out.
But we were a team built for. We have got better attacking players than defending players, so it's probably best to go out there and try and win the game by scoring more than win the game by defending a 1-goal lead. Sometimes we need to be 6-0 up just to make sure it goes all right.
Are you saying we should shoot more?
Shoot more and defend more.
This is the part where you ask the next question.
Oh, I didn't know I had to do all of these. When you said you put some in blue, I didn't know you meant all of them. Jesus.
Those sweets don't eat themselves, do they, Andy?
Mike, I'm the talent. I just show up, smile, the ladies get moist, then I go home.
Feeling, everyone sees your Adam's apple.
Money shot, then home.
Yeah, from Mr. DJ. We've kind of talked about this a little bit, but let's go back into it. What are the panelists' thoughts on Emery benching Ozil for the Bournemouth away game? Do you think this will become a trend of away game benchings for Ozil as Emery trusts others in that position, or was it just a one-off while switching formations? I'll just echo what I said. I think it isn't just a one-off. I think it's going to be a couple times off, but when we have formations where we're going to play more defensive, it doesn't make sense to have the greatest number 10 ever in an Arsenal shirt play in the position. So he's going to get benched.
Oh, you are cheeky.
Bergkamp is
coming out of his ears.
Bergkamp and Gallus are getting absolutely slammed on this podcast.
Gallus.
Arsenal's best number 10.
Good shit, Mike. You've had 2 tonight. Well,
yeah, we did kind of go over this earlier. I hadn't thought in advance of that, but thank you for the question, Mr. DJ. And I do think you actually have something in the sense that we will probably see him bench for more away games than home games this season.
When you see that the star player that Wenger would rather drop himself than drop that player, when you see him being taken away to a shit Europa League game and then on the bench for a Premier League game and not playing, and the rest of the players are going to go, oh, fuck, if he's not playing him, we better put our fingers out and defend more.
I mean, if it's an expensive lesson and a scare tactic, so be it.
If we're winning the games because it's being done, whatever needs to happen, just win the games, I guess.
And it's not like he's not playing because he's been knackered from international duty like he was before, or he's not playing because he's ill because he was on the bench. And it's not like it's an unimportant game. It was a tough away game, a very, very good top once you take out the top 5, Bournemouth are right up there with the likes of Everton and I was going to say a few others, but you know what I'm on about.
Yeah, no, I mean they're just on the outside looking into the top 7 at this point.
Yeah,
and that is a statement. I mean, he's been taken off the pitch against his desire a lot this season in favor of tactical switches, which is a message. But this is a stronger message. So again, so be it. Kudos to Emery for having the balls to do it and not care about the consequences. One last question from Desta, who I saw in the chat a little earlier. The midfield looks fragile, doesn't it? Where was Torreira when they sliced through us for the goal? Danny, he's here, so don't call him names for being negative. But did you see anything out of Torreira during his 76, 78 minutes today that gave you concern? Or I mean, I don't recall seeing him today just constantly breaking up play and being, Johnny on the spot as much as I've seen him in recent games. But that, every game's a little different. That doesn't mean that he had a poor game.
He was a bit knackered after beating up everyone on international duty, wasn't he? He's probably having a breather. But when they showed the game and the extended highlights, it was all from looking down towards our right-hand side and then looking from our right-hand side towards the centre of the pitch. So they didn't show down the left-hand side where I think he must have been, because I didn't have my glasses on, so I had to go by what player was doing what, by what colour boots they had on. So as for what he was doing, I didn't see him. I didn't see Xhaka either during that run. So I think they must have been down the right-hand side. But yeah, he's played more games for us than any other player this season. There's only one game out of the 19 he didn't play in that game he was on the bench. So he's maybe he's getting a little bit tired, because like you said, did he ask to get taken off? Because he did come off, didn't he? Yeah, he's played 18. I mean,
that is the claim was that he basically said you got to listen to your players, and he's. I don't think he'd lie about that, Emery. I don't think he'd. I think he'd say it like it is. So if he has to come off, then he has to come off.
Like a good defensive midfielder shouldn't be making headlines every match. They shouldn't. Their job is tasked to just protect that back 3, 4, 5. And so, we're all hyped on him because he's the player we've been missing for so long. But he is now going to fall into a category for an Eddie Howe, Pochettino, a Pep Guardiola of how do we play against this guy? How do we null him out of the game? That's the type of player that he's becoming, right? And you always hear about that on the offensive side, but how do we avoid this player? And there were a couple times where I thought in this match, he really stepped up and broke up some play. And it may not have been pretty, but he got in the way. He was that little pit bull. So we don't need to hear about him all the time to say that he's falling off the pace.
No, that's true. And to be fair to Desta, the question was just about the counter, the goal. It wasn't really.
Yeah, and
I kind of changed the tone of it myself, so that's my fault.
Yeah, but I feel like we get so kind of enamored with one player, and then they have an off game, and everyone's like, "What the fuck?" It's just like a good player does in that position, particularly. You don't want to hear his name a lot. You know how, like Danny pointed out, like with Mustafi, we're all sitting here complaining, and he drops the knowledge. He's been our best defender. Well, that hasn't been obvious to us, and that's probably a good thing for a defender or a keeper. You want to make saves, you want to be in the right positions, you want to make these clearances. We don't want to be celebrating that every week. If we're celebrating that, then we're doing things wrong elsewhere on the pitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
It may be because we played 3 centre-backs. Usually, Torreira's game is to cover the 2 centre-backs. If you've got 3 centre-backs, maybe that disrupted his game because you've now got 2 wing-backs and Xhaka and Torreira and the other 2, who would have been Iwobi and Mkhitaryan. That's a very packed midfield.
Yeah,
so maybe that threw him off his game a little bit as well, because
at least in the first half, I mean, that may be the reason we saw him getting a little further forward and having a.
Well, I was about to say, if we look at a heat map, I bet he didn't cover as much ground in today's game as he has in previous. Now, whether that or not that's tired, but as Danny said, when you're that compact, you're really just sitting in there and you're holding, right, and you're finding the gaps that are created and you're just filling those in. And like I said, there were moments in the first 15 minutes, I'm like, why is Holding popping up in that position? You couldn't tell what position he was in. So again, it was just people are clearing up for each other. But you guys, stop complaining. 17 unbeaten.
No one's complaining.
Mike,
We're just trying to build time.
Stop it.
I'm thrilled.
Whiny bitches. That's what we are. We're
Now
whiny
Sebby's going to have to
bitches.
go have a baguette and drink some red wine and forget about your bullshit. Hey, is that a Christmas tree in the background, Sebby?
What's that?
Is that a Christmas tree in the background?
That it is.
Did you apologize to Mike? Mike, I'm sorry.
Does this make you cry, Mike? I'm sorry.
No,
joy. I love Christmas.
I call it Tuesday.
Where's your Hanukkah bush, Mike?
Where's the Hanukkah bush? I was Googling a picture of a Hanukkah bush.
I'll show you my Hanukkah bush on a special pay-per-view edition. So Sebby's going to fall asleep if we have this go on any longer. So we're going to wrap it up. But I have to talk to you, Sebby, about this thing that we're involved in. Andy is going to hear about this, I'm sure, for the very first time because he doesn't monitor our Twitter DMs. Frankly, he doesn't even remember that we do a podcast for days out of the week. So you're on a podcast called Dinner and a Podcast.
Yes.
Like the beginning of the show. We get to hear your dulcet tones and your funny accent.
But he's got a very normal accent.
You are not listening hard enough.
Where is Sebby? What country?
What's that?
What country are you in?
In the United States. I'm in New York.
So you've got an American accent. What's he on about? Is he picking on you?
I have dual nationalities. My parents are from France, so
he's just been horrible to you just because you got a lovely tree there. He's jealous.
That's
Tell him
right.
to fuck off.
All that. One of your fellow hosts on the podcast is a Gooner, is he not?
Yeah, Joe.
What's he doing tonight?
He went to go see Creed. Creed was more important than talking to you guys.
Yeah. We were going to try to do a bit of a crossover and have Joe on with Sebby, talk a little bit more about the podcast, but no, he needs to go see Ivan Drago's son get beat up.
To be honest, I thought they were going to go see Creed, the band.
Oh, that's what I thought you meant.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I was going to see Creed too.
It's been a while. That could be Creed. I really don't know if it's.
No, I don't think it is.
That's Disturbed.
No, that's Stained, actually.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's Stained.
With the musical
Damn,
news.
good one.
The musical news. Anyway,
no, it's disturbing that you know that song.
Oh, it is Stained. Yeah.
Aaron, that's my boy Aaron Lewis, who I was in a WhatsApp chat with earlier today. So it's a great podcast. It's funny. I don't understand half of it. I'm sure if the others other than Joe listen to our podcast, they wouldn't understand half of it, nor would they think it's funny. But we got this network thing going on, and I'm involved in it. We're involved in it, Andy. It's called the International.
Yeah, I'm super involved.
We have no idea what it is. Sebby,
it's called. I don't know when we're going to get sued, but it's called the IHOP International House of Podcasts Network.
So what does the network do for us, or for everyone else on the network? I don't want it just to be about us.
You do.
It's just a group of podcasts. We promote each other, and it's different styles of podcasts. There's another football podcast on here. I'll go through the list of the podcasts that are on here. It's us, Dinner and a Podcast, Not Another Nerdy Podcast, Dudes in Toyland, the Gooners Podcast, Legends Podcast, Ozzy and the Palm. They're actually a football podcast as well. I think one's a United fan. So I don't know if you guys want to cross over with those guys before the United game.
Andy's so disgusted with this that he's removed himself from video as because he doesn't want to see the scowls. Yeah, I don't know what we've gotten into, but at least one, if not all, of those podcasts are interesting.
Yeah, they're all really good podcasts. A lot of pop culture and like football shows. So give it a listen and see if you like any of them.
Hey, Sebi, do you guys have a podcast where you discuss grown men in leather wrestling each other? Because if so, I would like to be on that one.
That's our podcast. No, you have a podcast.
Wait, hold on. It's got to be fake, though. It's got to be fake.
Yeah. You had to add that in there because of your.
I'd love to do a podcast, a WWE podcast with you, Mike.
Yeah, it's gonna. The average listener age will be 9.
So it'll be just like certain people's YouTube channels then.
I don't know what that means.
No, you do because you told me. All right. So anyway, Danny, Sebi told me privately today that he thinks you'll love DP. And I told him that was disgusting and probably physically impossible for you.
DP, a dinner and a podcast, my podcast.
Yeah, but that wasn't what I thought he was talking about, though. Obviously. But
I just followed all of those accounts of the podcast account. I always follow any podcast of any type of the pod account.
And I told
for a while.
I told Seb if there's anyone I know or have met or learned about in this whole voyage that we've been on this journey that we've been on the last 3 years,
I'm starting to get worried where this is going to end.
There was more.
Mike's coming out.
More generous and handsome.
Here we go.
Upside down head looking than Danny. I don't know who he is. So I'm glad you guys got an opportunity to meet. Check out the International House of Podcasts before we're kicked out of it and sued for whatever reason. Danny, anything new in the Bergkamp Wonderland world? I know you guys did an After Dark episode recently.
I thought the International House of Pancakes changed their initials to like HOB or something.
That was just a promotion, and so is this. We're doing a separate promotion where you can listen to our podcast for free.
If anyone wants to know how to do a podcast for free, I should do a tutorial. I hear all these other podcasts going, "Oh, please donate to help us keep going with our bullshit." You can do it for nothing, you lazy fuckers. Just need to know how. It's easy.
Seriously.
You guys have donations.
I remember this one time, Danny, and this is a true story. I was like, "Hey, Mike, we should set up like a GoFundMe page to pay for our website." And this is what Mike said to me, and I quote, "No worries, bro. I'm so rich, I can pay for the whole thing."
You don't go swanning around Europe for 18 days if you're living out of bins.
He was like, "I got those Jewish diamonds, if you know what I mean."
Isn't that a song by Beyonce?
Don't make me leave another chat group. All right. That's my final warning, Andy. Oh man.
Yeah, we did do an After Dark, and it sounds like it's a different old After Dark. So we did 4 old ones. It would be people getting stoned and getting drunk and being absolute knobs about everything, and then just being horrible to everybody. So we left it best part of a year and a half. And then we've done number 5, and it was me, John, and Jason just talking about football for the first hour. And the next 2 hours was films, game. Well, when Jason went to the toilet, me and John were quickly talking about computer games and TV shows, board games, a little bit of politics just to annoy Jace. And anything happening in the world of ABW? Yeah, it was Shredder, Josh, and Ellis today, and none of them knew the password for the YouTube account.
Yeah, I saw that going. We have run into that problem a couple times. We have 2 or 3 go-to passwords for our shared things, and let's just say none of them are specific. Follow the category of being a strong.
Mike, password. I don't think I'm giving too much away when they're all penis-based.
Are you going to the toilet, Andy?
And they're all penis.
I just fed gave my dogs his allergy pills. I put them in some roast beef, so I was just washing my hands.
Yeah, the other half live. Roast beef and allergy pills. Sounds like a slap-up meal for me.
Roast beef and allergy pills.
Delicious.
And it goes to my dog named Gooner. Only the best for Mr. Goons.
Well, it almost took us an hour and 45 minutes, but we finally have the title of the podcast. So that would be roast beef and allergy pills. All right, so my last.
I think it should be Mike's direct quote. "I'm so rich, I can pay for this myself."
I did not say that. I did not say that, nor am I. Don't want to get the wrong idea. Although I do splash the cash on beautiful things like this guy.
I know. I've got my phone. I videoed a little bit of this. I've sent it to Sean. I said, I finally made it. They put a picture up of me, and that is a sign that you have made it when you go on that cupboard. Lee and his Datsun have been up there, and I think the judge has been up there. It's my finest podcasting moment. I've been at this since 2000.
Tom's up there. You know, the service that I ordered them from, after I ordered this one, they said, please politely do not order from our service again.
They actually
you should have put the bath picture up there.
Look, I'm going to go in for another round probably in a few more weeks, and we'll see who makes it up onto the Wall of Fame. But
Danny be okay with us sharing that picture.
I'm going to have to find another vendor, because the 8-year-old Laotian people that print these pictures apparently all got scared off. So I was trying to think of which Asian country we have the least listeners from. All right. By the way, tune in if you didn't live already to the Gooner Talk TV today. It was a hilarious episode. Not coincidentally, 2.5 of the 3 people on it, Lee Gunner, Ola, and Tom Canton, were intoxicated during the interview, during the show. But it was a lot of laughs, very funny.
I think it peaked when Tom asked Lee, "What was your prediction?" He said, "I don't give a fuck." I thought, as he opened another can of Stella, he's 14th of the night.
He was drinking, and Ola was in the car drinking, which is never a good combination. But the show was really funny. Danny, I saw you in the chat room, so
you donated.
I did, because
all that diamond money.
I'm so fucking rich, I can just donate to podcast. Maybe we'll grow into the donation thing someday. But anyway, that's it. It's been a winning week. Hopefully. Next week, we may or may not have the Speaker of the House of Commons on with us. It depends on my schedule, actually, not his, for once. So anyway, we will let you guys know on Twitter. Please follow us on Facebook, subscribe, join us for live pods at ridiculous hours of the day and night. Thanks for staying up until your 5 o'clock bedtime.
Subby, thank you for staying up too.
Oh, no problem, guys.
To have a baby.
No problem. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
From one man with a baby to another.
Subby and I are gonna have a podcast, just 2 dads with bebes.
My baby, I've got a baby. She's 20.
Yeah, I've got one that's 17, and we're really getting along really well right now.
Oh, it actually from about 13 to 18. Just leave. They get better when they get towards 20.
Yeah, you seem to have your daughter seemed to have reined in from the videos and things that you've posted. So I'm still waiting. Anyway, good to see everybody. Thanks for joining us, and come on, you Gooners.